Hello, friends, and welcome to Pathologic, Volume 9, Episode 26. If you are not yet signed up for the newsletter, you still have time to do so before the November issue drops with some new puzzles for you. I'm in the midst of setting those now. But today we'll be solving a puzzle from another constructor as usual. And today it is a Tentaisho, also known as Spiral Galaxies. And it's another symmetry style puzzle, which are always very pleasing. So let's jump in and take a look at the rules. In Tentaisho, we divide the grid into regions of orthogonally connected cells. That simply means we're going to be drawing these bold lines in the grid, and what we're left with are a variety of regions that have no internal lines at all, and they are simply bordering subregions. You can also see we have some lines in the middle. Those are just solving aids and not part of the solution. Each region must contain exactly one circle and have 180-degree rotational symmetry around it. So you can see in our example solution, all of the regions have one circle, none of them have more than one, and there are no regions without a circle. And if you were to imagine the circle being a pivot point and were to spin that region 180 degrees, you can see it would land exactly on top of itself. That's what that 180-degree symmetry constraint means. Those are the rules of Tentaisho, so it's time to solve a puzzle. Today's Tentaisho puzzle was set by Freddie Hand. If we have dots along the edges, that's going to be our best starting point because of the symmetry constraint. We know that this dot, this edge is going to be reflected or rotated rather around this dot to the other side. So that's going to give us that border, and that will apply to all the dots on the edges that we get a border that way. Here we in fact get it in both cases, so this is just given as a single cell region. We've by doing that given ourselves an edge on another circle, so we can also draw that in. Then we can look at the dots that are on borders rather than the center. We get a little information about those, guaranteed that we can draw those connecting lines in between those two cells because they're part of the same region. And if the dot is on a four-way intersection, we in fact know all four of those cells are part of this region. In so doing, those regions have, in some cases, grown to touch an edge, so we can draw the rotated edge in those cases. Here, we can draw this one from down here, and it turns up like that. So it could extend in both of these cases, or it could be cut off. We'll find that out later. If we have regions that are touching each other, we can draw borders in between them. So we can draw this one and then its rotation around here and its rotation around there. These two are touching. I didn't draw in those auxiliaries. These two are touching, so we draw in a line there. That rotates to this, so this is a solo cell, and this and that rotate around, I keep saying reflect, to here and here. Then these two regions are touching, so let's draw that border, which rotates to there, and it rotates to there. These two are touching, so that rotates over here and rotates down here. Okay, so that's taking care of all of those. Let's think about the other side of things. Instead of growing out from dots, we can use the fact that every cell has to be part of a region with a dot. We can start up here and go, it has to go down and to the right. It can't go down and meet here because we can't have internal borders, and we know there's a border right here. So it doesn't go down, so that's a wall, and we can rotate that around here to get that one. And this has to keep going. So it's met up here, and now that we've made it to the circle, and this is all enclosed, we can just rotate that whole shape around to finish up that region, like so. We can do the same thing with this cul-de-sac. This comes down and meets up with this. So that means on this side it has to keep on going down, and we have to have this same shape down here. This domino has one edge drawn in now, so we can rotate that around. We know that these regions don't meet, so that rotates here and over here. This has to come out this way. It can't keep going and meet this dot because there's not enough room to rotate it around the other side. So actually that's given us that border, which makes this a solo cell. It makes this come down. Can't go west because we would have an internal border. And that rotates around here to finish off this domino. This has to come down and probably meets up with this, but there could be something really weird going on with this region, so I'll leave that alone. Here we've got to go south. We can't go east because we meet up with this one, so that gives us a border here and here. As our friend Simon would say, Maverick is flying by. Apologies if there's too much noise in the background. This comes down here and finishes off that region by reflection. This still could be a solo cell, maybe, probably not, but let's wait till we can prove that. What else is straightforward? Yeah, we're looking for probably some... Okay, so this cell, what could that belong to? This looks like this is going to be trouble. We can't make it meet up with this one. It could meet up with here and do something. Could it meet up with this one? I don't think so, because if it went west, south, south, then this is going to have to rotate south, southwest, and it doesn't. There's not enough room. So this can only find this region. So there is a line we can draw there, and therefore we can draw this one, and lo and behold, they're already reflected, so that didn't really help. But this cell is isolated from everything because of that. So this actually comes up, and then we reflect it around. This is rotated up here. And this has to come west, as expected. So now we have the shape of that region. This gives us that wall. Could come west and east. Maybe, likely, even. I don't know. This cell certainly doesn't meet up here, though. But it could... I don't know what it could do. Weird stuff, still. What else is forced? This cell could form a 3-cell region here, or up here. No, that's not going to give us anything. I think this one is probably the way to go. How could that do anything other than meet up with this cell? It would need to... Oh gosh, there probably are ways, aren't there? Ugh. Okay, this one has got to come down to here, right? Because if it went up, and if there were a border here, this would have to come out this way. It would have to meet up with this, and obviously that's not going to reflect. So that's not a border. We've got that at least, and then this gets a border here. Could this keep going? I think it could. And this region would come down like that. If it didn't, if this doesn't come down here, it meets up with this circle. And We can't do that. So this must come down here. So that has given us this shape. And I believe that it is fully defined now because this rotates over to that. And so we have the fullness of that shape, which pegs this in with that dot. And let's rotate that around and draw that in. That's the entirety of that shape. This comes down here. Could it meet up with this? Yes, it could. Could it meet up with that? Absolutely not. There's no room to rotate this. It would land over here somewhere. So this has got to go down to that dot, which means it's got to go down, east, south to match that. And let's just match up all of these. We still have these two, but this right here comes down like that. That would make this a big monkey wrench spanner shape, which is, oh, well, this is what tells us what's going on, because this doesn't extend any further because of those borders. So this does form the wrench shape. Then we've got only this stuff. This can't belong to that or that too far, certainly not that. So this comes down here, which means it comes down there, and we get that border, which makes both of those belong to this region, and we rotate that around, and because of all these borders, we get all of these borders. This region's done. This becomes part of that, which makes this have that shape. This one has to be solo because it's got borders on the north, east, and west, so it gets one on the south. And that is how you solve a Tentaisho.